Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Players Zone YouTube channel. And we are here for the Premier League predictions for game week 5. The season is absolutely flying. It is well and truly underway. But you know what is not flying right now is my predictions, struggling last week and hoping to bounce back here with my Premier League predictions for this weekend. If you're new to the channel, a lot of people have come across in recent days, so I appreciate you joining us. Welcome to the Premier League predictions video. I'm currently on 23 of our prediction points after the first 4 game weeks. If you're new and wondering how our prediction system works, it is 3 points for the correct scoreline, 1 point for the correct result predicted, and obviously 0 points for neither. So really struggled last week, only added the 5 points to get us into 23 now. So hoping for a bit of a better weekend, maybe 8 or 9 this weekend. I'm going to be bold and say I'm going to try and back that in. So a very difficult weekend to predict. There are a lot of even matches, a lot of exciting games, and the big 2 clubs, Arsenal and Manchester City, clash at the final game of the weekend. So a lot to be excited about. With that being said, let's get straight now into our Premier League predictions. Our first game is an all-London affair at the London Stadium. West Ham United host Chelsea. This one is going to be very, very interesting. West Ham, last time out, got a result versus Fulham, 1-1, but continued to really disappoint. With all the signings made, with a new manager, there was a lot of expectation for West Ham to truly kickstart their season and be on fire from the start. Yes, maybe that's an unrealistic expectation, but they have really struggled in their games and not much of a great watch right now. I think the lack of involvement from the likes of Jared Bowen, Mohamed Kudus, lack of creativity from the likes of Lucas Paquetá is really impacting this side. I was quite harsh and sort of critical on West Ham for sacking David Moyes, and the reason behind that, because Lopetegui, this is what we're going to get from him. We're not going to get much exciting football. We're not seeing the best so far of the exciting players in the Crescencio Summervilles, Nicholas Fulkrugs as well. I just think this team's being underutilised right now, and going and playing at home against a very talented Chelsea side, it could get quite ugly. I think the West Ham's game here, if they want to get something out of the game, you've got to take it to Chelsea. You can't just be this defensive side that doesn't create many chances. They were outplayed by Fulham and were lucky to get a late equaliser with Danny Ings out. So you need much more of an improved performance and improved creativity. You need to get the ball into the feet of those really exciting players. Look at Chelsea. They were far from great either, but you saw signs there of what this team's trying to build. They've won games now in different avenues. They've bossed games. They've won a game on the road there last time out against Bournemouth, 1-0, sort of a snatch and grab type performance. They're developing a bit of a backbone. They're developing a bit of continuity there with the squad, which is good to see. I think this game is a perfect chance for them to continue to build, start the season off a very vulnerable West Ham side. We know that Bournemouth really got at Chelsea, and Chelsea can be a vulnerable side defensively, but West Ham aren't really going to go at you and attack you. And that's a great opportunity for Chelsea just to reinforce their system and their structures. And I think in this game here, the importance is going to be those attacking players. Get at West Ham, stretch them, and continue to apply pressure like Fulham did, and eventually the pressure will show. So Cole Palmer's, I think João Felix has to go from the start for me, or Christopher Nkunku. These two have been fantastic when they're implemented in the game, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see a bit of a Cole Palmer at the 10, Nkunku up top with Noni Madueke and Jadon Sancho. I think all 4 of them work really well together, a very dynamic front line, and right now Nkunku is just finding the back of the net at a great rate and doing it quite easy. I think he'll be the difference maker in this game for me. With that being said, I think West Ham aren't good enough at the moment. Chelsea are just building as this season goes on. I've got Chelsea winning this game 3-0, coasting it away from home. I think a lot of pressure will come onto Lopetegui in a few weeks' time. Our next game sees us travel to another derby. It is Aston Villa hosting Wolves. This one, I think it's going to be quite a one-sided affair. Aston Villa have been firing. Came from 2 goals down to beat West Ham 3-2. Another John Duran goal off the bench to win a game of football. Then you go and back it up with a fantastic win in the Champions League. Their first in, I think, around 50 years. And go and beat young boys away from home. A real tough place to go and play football. This team's firing. It's great attacking football. It's entertaining. And its development over the last 2 and a bit season under Unai Emery, it is a complete package now, I feel, in many regards. And despite injuries to Leon Bailey and the struggles that Ollie Watkins has had, it still looks like a very, very strong side. I think, once again, John McGinn and Yuri Tielemans, the underrated role in midfield, supplying those 4 players. And for Yuri Tielemans, man of the match midweek in the Champions League, showing his ability to drive the team forward. I think for me, the two key players have got to be Jacob Ramsey alongside Morgan Rogers, the 2 youngsters in those sort of wide flank areas. in behind Ollie Watkins or John Duran have been fantastic. They've been great in tight areas. They've got the attacks underway. They've spread defences. And I think whenever the ball hits these two players and their feet, good things happen for the side. So feed these guys as much as possible in this game here. You look at Wolves on the opposite side of things. It's going to be a tough season for them. I think they will still stay up, but they're really going to struggle. You saw it on the weekend. Newcastle was second rate for most of that game there, but two pieces of individual brilliance gets them over the line. In contrast, Wolves are good. They're competing, but they haven't got enough quality for me. Strand Larsen's going to be a fantastic player, but is he quite ready yet in the Premier League? I don't know. Lamina's fighting hard. Matheus Cunha's fighting hard. João Gomez is fighting hard, but there's just a 6 or 7 out of 10 where sometimes you have to be 8 or 9 to get over the line in games. And I think they're going to really be put to the sword here. Aston Villa are a complete side. Wolves are just lacking that quality right now for the Premier League. I've got Villa winning this game 4-1. I think John Duran, once again off the bench, scores. Ollie Watkins gets another goal. And I wouldn't be surprised if Jacob Ramsey gets on the score sheet as well. We move back to London as Fulham host Newcastle. It's going to be another entertaining game, this one here as well. Fulham have shown this season they are very attractive side of play some football. They show in key periods they can get on top of games and really be a threat in front of goal. And I said it last week in my predictions. I've said it now almost for over a year. When Fulham have a striker that's scoring goals or heavily involved, the side just functions much better. And they really deserve the 3 points on the weekend versus West Ham. The better team throughout the 90 minutes. Just one slip up late in that game there cost them. I think those players in behind the striker have been fantastic. The likes of Emile Smith-Rowe, Alex Iwobi, and Adama Traore's made a fantastic start of the season. These guys are stretching defences, looking really good in that sort of long, direct passing type play. They're getting balls in from deep areas. Andreas Pereira in a deep position allows that passing rate to be improved, and you're pinging balls to likes of Adama Traore and Alex Iwobi to get in behind it. Is stretching defences and causing teams a lot of problems this season in the Premier League. I think those three in behind the striker once again will be pivotal. Newcastle have been far from great this season, but they continue to get over the line. It's a real strange situation right now. The best start they've made in the Premier League era. The 10 points start their campaign off, but they've been far from great, and they're very vulnerable at the back. They're gettable. Wolves got them at them early, and if they had some better quality, you thought they could have scored 2 or 3. So for Fulham, start this game strong. Get those creative players on the ball. Let Andreas Pereira hit those balls over the back. Get at Newcastle on the counter-attack. I think that's the best way you can go at this side here. And then get Raul Jimenez or whether it be Rodrigo Muniz from the top, get them involved and get them scoring goals early. If you get an early 2 goals in the first half or just after half-time, get that 2-goal buffer, I think you can get a result here. Looking at Newcastle again, a great come-from-behind victory. Far from convincing, but they're getting the job done. I think it's time for Eddie Howe to bite the bullet. You've got to go Barnes, Gordon, and Isaac up top. No matter how you configure that group, you have to go with 3 of them because you saw the goal that Harvey Barnes scored to win that game of football. A piece of magic out of this world, and I think they need that. Harvey Barnes has been fantastic this season, whether he started or come off the bench. He's impacted games of football, and as much as I love Anthony Gordon, he's had a slower start to the year, and I think he needs that competition there. And I think they need to play together to get the best out of all 3 of those players in the front line. I think more needs to come from the midfield. I really want to see Tonali start this game, add more physicality to that midfield there because it's going to be a tough battle. Fulham make games a bit of a scrap at times and make it a real difficult dogfight. So I think you need to add those players that want that. Joel Linton, Sandro Tonali's, Bruno Guimaraes. I think that's your midfield 3. That's how you get on top of Fulham here. It's going to be an entertaining one. It's going to be a back and forth type affair. I think Newcastle start to flex their muscles here. I've got a 3-1 Newcastle win. They kickstart their season off with a proper good performance here and a well-deserved 3 points. We go to the South Coast. Southampton play Ipswich. The 2 promoted sides going head-to-head. 2 sides that have had moments in games, but looking at Southampton, it's far from convincing. 30 minutes versus Manchester United, they miss a penalty and the heads drop and they go and get obliterated. And I think it's a theme of a lot of relegated sides, especially in recent years, the head losses or the way they crumble in just clumps. They can see goals in clumps. Brentford did it, Man United did it, and a lot of teams will also do it to the Southampton side. They're very, very vulnerable. I think in this game here, you've got to control the ball and control the wide areas. That's the way you get at Ipswich. That's the way they can win this game of football. It's a winnable game. Go out there and show what you've got. I think this is a real chance to try and instill some confidence, embed some confidence in this team to kickstart this season off because they were so good versus United in the first half an hour. But once that penalty was missed, the heads dropped and they fell apart. You look at Ipswich, fantastic point on the road to Brighton. They're an informed team, a team that's unbeaten so far in the Premier League. I didn't give them much of a chance, but boy, they were good. Defensively, kept it tight. Yes, they rode their luck, but you're going to need that in the Premier League. And I think they're looking like that Luton of last season. If any team that got promoted is going to get through this league season and stay in the Premier League, it looks like Ipswich. They've got a bit of a backbone. Yes, they ride their luck, but the likes of Leif Davis, Greaves at the back has looked fantastic. O'Shea's a great addition at the back, as well as what Delap was able to do up top there, almost scoring the goal of the season, running from his own half. There's some signs there. There's fight, there's passion, and there's a real want and drive to stay in this Premier League this season. I think that back four is going to be the key. I think a lot of the ball will be kept with Southampton. Can Ipswich ride those moments away from home? Can they keep defending well like they did against Brighton and then try and expose the side on the counter-attack? Amari Hutchinson, can he get his season off and underway here with a good performance? Can Delap get on the score sheet? I think it's pretty easy. Going forward, if the ball goes through Delap or the ball ends at the feet of Delap, you get a result. I think that's pretty simple. He's a real clinical finisher and getting the job done. It looks like he's fit into the Premier League quite well. So for Ipswich, find Delap. For Southampton, continue to play your football, attack, and utilise the wide areas and try and win the game in that part of the park. With that being said, I think Ipswich have got the quality, they've got the confidence, and they play the better football for me. I've got Ipswich winning this game 2-1. Southampton right now just too vulnerable. I don't think they'll go over the line in this relegation 6-pointer already early in this season. We move to London, and it's a big game for Tottenham as they play Brentford. Off the back of that 1-0 loss in the North London derby, the social media criticism of the side and Postecoglou reacting in the media, there's a lot of pressure on this side to finally click. It's been a great performance in every single game so far this season. It's been great in the back third and the middle third, but in that final third, they are lacking confidence. They are lacking sharpness and precision, and they're going to have to find it quickly, especially versus the Brentford side, who we know defend so well and so compact. I think a big play in this game has to be Heung-min Son. We've got to see more from Heung-min Son, and we've got to see more for Dominic Solanke. They brought you in as a big money signing. You've got to be able to find the back of the net, but equally so, you've got to find chances for Dominic Solanke. I think Heung-min Son has to lift. Dejan Kulusevski, I think, has done well in tight areas. Madison's had key moments, but Son for me hasn't been good enough. The captain, the quality player we know him to be, you've got to give us more. A lot of criticism fall on the shoulders of Brennan Johnson. You're the captain. Time for you to stand up. Time for you to create some chances. I think Tottenham, that's simply it. Can you create chances? Can you score chances? That is the only thing missing from this Tottenham side. If they had done that already this season, you're looking at them being unbeaten and near the top of the table. But as it stands, they can't find the back of the net, and as such, they're languishing in the Premier League this season. They come up against a Brentford side that put together one of the great first-half performances versus Manchester City, scoring the opening 20 seconds, riding their luck, yes, but being very defensively solid. But if Ethan Pinnock scores a header early on in the game, a totally different storyline. So I think for them, they can take a lot of confidence from that away performance versus Man City and employ a very similar style here versus a tough Tottenham side. Defend deep, defend compact, and utilise the counter-attack. And Burmo, Vissa on the break, and get those fullbacks pushing on when you get the opportunities to, and try and beat them on the counter-attack. There's a real chance here. We know how Tottenham is struggling in front of the goal, but I think Tottenham bounce back. I've got a Tottenham 3-1 win for me. They get the job done, they bounce back, and they silence the criticism they've gotten during the week. Our next game sees Leicester host Everton, and this is truly a relegation 6-pointer. Already early in the season, Leicester have shown moments. They were good on the road to Crystal Palace in the first half, then came exposed as the game went on. Everton, we know the dramas that are going on at Everton right now at the football club. Do you have faith in Sean Dyche? It's an interesting question right now, but both teams desperately need a win. Less so for Leicester, but they really take that win and force Everton even further away from them. It can almost breathe a sigh of relief and feel like you've escaped that bottom three for the time being. Look at that side, I said, solid versus Crystal Palace for the first half, but as the game went on, they fell away. Jamie Vardy's been fantastic to start the season off. Ndidi at the number 10 was a revelation for me, one of the performances from the weekend. Didn't see that he had that creativity in his game, but he showed that. And I think on the flanks as well, we saw what a Mavadidi can do. We've seen what a Fatawu can do as well. Would love to see them both play together, but I don't think we're going to get that this season. But both of them together could really unlock a lot of potential for Leicester. I think for them, it's about managing key moments in this game. When Everton will have some time. They will go forward. We've seen them against some big teams, against Brighton, against Bournemouth, and against Aston Villa. All these recent games, they've been in games and the better team for major moments, but they fade in and out of games and fade out of games badly. For Leicester, can you just manage the key moments, take your chances, and remain in command, in control of this game of football here, because we know how mentally vulnerable Everton are right now. You look at their side, I think Dominic Calvert-Lewin, McNeil and Harrison doing a great job up top. They're doing what they expect to do. For me, it's the defence. Sean Dyche systems are built on defensive solidity, and right now, Keane and Tarkowski having probably the worst moments of their career in my eyes. They're really struggling defensively. Everton are just falling apart every single weekend. Mentally, the way they're playing their football, they're just so vulnerable right now. They're so weak and gettable. You can see, you look at this team, you think, we can get at these guys. And I think giving away two goal leads in the last 2 games shows that they're at a rocky moment right now. They've got to have to bounce back. This has to be the game for them. You've got to come out the blocks firing, get on top of Leicester early, because this is your chance. If you drop another game, I think it's in a really, really dark spot here, and Sean Dyche's job could be in the line. I think for them, once again, you've got to have your defenders perform. You've got to have the holding midfielders perform. It's been too leaky. They're conceding in too many clumps, and they're losing their head way too easily. With that being said, I think Leicester get the win. For that reason only. Everton right now, their confidence are at an all-time low, and their performers at the back, which you expect to be at the best, are at their lowest points. I think Leicester get over the line in a 2-1 game. It's going to be ugly. It's going to be a scrap. Sean Dyche will make it a scrap. I think Everton's lack of quality, lack of confidence will show, and Leicester get over the line for me. We move to Merseyside for our next game. Liverpool host Bournemouth. This is going to be another entertaining one. We know Bournemouth have travelled to Anfield in recent years and caused a lot of problems for this Liverpool side. They've had a much better midweek, winning the Champions League at the San Siro after a surprising shock 1-0 loss to Nottingham Forest at home last time out in the Premier League. A real chance to bounce back in Premier League football here. Arne Slot's side, you back them in, right? There's a lot of experienced heads, some confident players, and it was one of those games where Mo Salah didn't perform, Dominic Szoboszlai struggled, and the whole system sort of fell apart. There was half chances, but they couldn't really break down the Nottingham Forest low block, and I expect Bournemouth to employ a very similar system here. For me, for Liverpool, if they're going to win this game, go back to the basics, do what they did in midweek at the San Siro. That midfield 3 is the key. Can they run the game? Can they boss the game? Can they keep relentless pressure on this side? Can they be incisive with their passing to break down a low block? I look at McAllister, I look at Ryan Gravenberch, I look at Dominic Szoboszlai. These 3, when they're at their best, Liverpool look $1 million. But when they're slightly off it, when Mo Salah's slightly off it, like we saw last week versus Nottingham Forest, the whole system falls apart. So pretty simple for Liverpool. I back their back line in. There's a lot of quality back there. Virgil van Dijk, Konate, Trent, and Robbo as well. It's a solid back line. Alisson in net. I don't see them conceding many opportunities, not many chances, many shots at all. But it's about going forward. The system works well when you're scoring goals, when you're breaking down defences for fun. On that midfield to break down this Bournemouth back line. I look at Bournemouth. They've been fantastic. I love Andoni Iraola. Everyone knows that here. If you watch frequently on the channel, I like what they do. They were very unlucky to lose to Chelsea on the weekend. Evanilson really struggling for confidence right now. Normally, I think Kluivert's the penalty taker. Didn't take the penalty. Try to give the big Brazilian some confidence. In this game here, you've got to ride your luck. I think Liverpool is a whole different kettle of fish to Chelsea. You're going to have to really employ that Nottingham Forest style, like what Nuno did. Sit in deep, be compact, and Andoni Iraola's on to sacrifice, maybe throwing a few less players forward to make sure you're defensively sound. And then it's got to be those key players up top. Antoine Semenyo, Justin Kluivert, Tavernier. I wouldn't be surprised if they drop Van Alisson and go with those 3 up top as a front 3 and maybe employ Cook and Christie and Scott in midfield, a more robust, really hard-working midfield trio and almost leave the front 3 up top, just try and stretch the back line. Like how Hudson-Odoi and Alanga did it, I can see Kluivert, Tavernier and Semenyo doing it as a front 3. That's how I see Bournemouth lining up. Do they have a chance in this game? Absolutely. They've scored some early goals against Liverpool in recent years at Anfield and really have caused some problems here and there, especially under Andoni Iraola's management. We know they can go away to places and make things difficult. Like they did at Old Trafford last season, they won that game 2-0 by employing a defensive mindset and counter-attacking and using the pace up top. It's not going to be straightforward for Liverpool, but I expect them to bounce back. Arne Slot knows this side well. 2 great managers, but a great mind. Arne Slot, I think, gets over the line for me. I got a Liverpool hard-fought 2-0 win here. It's going to be tough, but I think they've got enough quality. They need to bounce back. They want to get the job done here, 2-0. We're back in London. Crystal Palace play Manchester United. It's going to be a very entertaining game, especially after how Palace decimated United last season towards the end of the year. They come off the back of that 2-2 draw versus Leicester, but for me, watching that game, it all clicked after half-time. Oliver Glasner got his team playing his style of football with a lot of pace in the final third and relentless attacking football. I think it's really dangerous for Manchester United. Palace with Mateta and Eze looked really, really dangerous in the final third. We've got Munoz back to his best type performances. Adam Morton's winning the ball back and keeping the ball when working in tight areas. It was the Palace which you saw towards the back end of last season. I think they finally clicked despite all the movements in the off-season. They've got a stable team now. They're going to go at it. And I think another home game, very, very dangerous. I think they're going to be a really strong starting side here. And for them, if you want to win this game of football, it's utilising the wide areas, committing numbers for when you win that ball back in transition, because we know how vulnerable United can be to the counter-attack from oppositions, especially with how, weak the wingers are in terms of tracking back defensively and how high and wide those fullbacks get for Manchester United. You've got to utilise the wide areas. If you win the battle of the flanks for Crystal Palace, you win this game of football. When you look at Manchester United, 10-0 over the last 2 games. Yes, it was Barnsley midweek in the League Cup, but there's confidence finally back at Old Trafford. The side is looking a more unified unit. I do really, really like the defence. I think I've said that a few times this season. The defence looks solid enough for me. Can the number 6, whether it be Ugarte, Casemiro or Eriksen in this game, can they hold up against a very transition-dominant Palace side? Palace side loves to win the ball back and play quickly. And for United, can those wingers, Rashford, Garnacho, Amad Diallo, can they score? Can they continue to apply pressure? Because we saw versus Southampton, it was the wide areas that end up winning United the game. The battle of the wide areas is going to be the battle of this game here. Whoever comes out on top is likely to win this game of football. There's going to be goals galore. United don't really travel well to Selhurst Park in recent years, and I think it's going to be a real tight affair. I'm going with a 2-2 draw. I've gone bold. I think it's going to be goals. United struggle at Selhurst Park. I think Palace have kicked into gear after that second half on the weekend versus Leicester City. It's going to be a real tight game. Both managers going at it. A 2-2 draw for me. Our penultimate game is on the south coast. Brighton host Nottingham Forest, 2 teams in some fantastic form. Brighton obviously coming off that 0-0 draw to Ipswich on the weekend. Disappointed to get all 3 points, but the blueprint is there. It's great attacking football. It's Hertzler to a T. It's really getting numbers forward, playing those half spaces and trying to get the better of teams. It was very unlucky, but they've really got the blueprint there, really good attacking football side. They think we'll do very, very well at home. I think they're going to be an entertaining team to watch here, especially versus Nottingham Forest side that also likes to go forward and attack, but on their counter-attack. I expect Brighton to have a lot of the possession, a lot of the football, but they've got to be wary of what Nottingham Forest do on the counter-attack. We saw what they did versus Liverpool multiple times, getting at the side, winning the ball back and springing the counter-attack. Anthony Elanga, Hudson-Odoi, Chris Wood down the middle. It's real danger. I think for me, Elliot Anderson's going to be key in this game as well. Such a talented player on the ball. That sort of number 10 role, I think, is going to be really pivotal to how Nottingham Forest transition and his ability to win the ball back and get Nottingham Forest moving forward. Both teams right now are in great form and they'll cancel each other out. I'm going with another 2-2 score draw. Both teams very, very good form right now, and almost both systems might cancel each other out. And as such, I'm going with a 2-2 draw here. Our final game from the weekend is the big one. Manchester City host Arsenal, the top 2 teams across the last 2 seasons. Man City, the best attacking side versus Arsenal, the best defensive side. And as such, we're in for an absolute massive game here. For Man City, obviously a tough draw midweek to Inter in the Champions League, but they've got a blueprint of what Arsenal will do. I think Arsenal will be that defensive side that looks to play a little bit slower and a little bit safer to try and prevent losing this game. They've already lost ground to Man City. If you drop all 3 points again, it's looking very bleak already early in this season. City have started the season off on fire, and I think in this game he likes of Bernardo Silva, as alongside the likes of Savinho, will be the key players to break down his Arsenal side. I think Ilkay Gundogan stamps his authority here in this game and maybe a pivotal player in that midfield area. Both sides are so talented all over the park, but Arsenal defensively, especially the 2 centre-backs right now, are probably the best 2 in the world. So you're going to have to work a way to get through that back turn. I think a like of an Ilkay Gundogan, a Savinho or a Bernardo Silva, they're so tricky in tight areas that can make things happen. They're magical players. They might be the difference maker, especially with Kevin De Bruyne might be missing with a knock he picked up in the Champions League. I think these 3 players are the pivotal players for Manchester City. Even if Phil Foden gets a start, he's someone that can create something out of nothing. So I think for City, with how defensive Arsenal may set up and appear in this game away from home, these sort of creative magic sparks, these X factors will be the key for me to get them over the line. You look at Arsenal, again, a great result on the road in the North London derby, 1-0 against Tottenham. Fantastic considering the players that were missing. Declan Rice comes back into this side. I think he'll be pivotal. Winning the ball back and spraying the ball to like Saka and Martinelli on the counter-attack. His role, not only defensively, but progressively and getting the ball moving forward and working against those really elite-level Man City midfielders, he is going to be pivotal to Arsenal. And then also for me, the combinations, Saka and Havertz, and also Gabriel and Saliba. If these 2 combos are playing at their sparkling best, Arsenal nick a result here. I feel like they really do. I think Gabriel and Saliba, we can expect them to be great, but if they can be 9 out of 10, and if Saka and Havertz can be a 9 out of 10 as a combination as well, they get a result. It's simply as that. These two combinations are so important for Arsenal, and they're arguably some of the best combinations in the Premier League when they're at their top form. So I think Arsenal will employ that style of football they set up at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium with, sit in deep, keep all three lines within 10, 15 yards of each other, make impact, force City out wide, force City to create a moment of magic to try and beat you. And then when you win the ball back, get the likes of Declan Rice on the ball and let the ball be sprayed out to those wide players, exploit City on the counter-attack. We know they struggle in transition and try and get a goal that way. I think it's going to be a back and forth affair. Two great managers. It might be a ball fest through key moments, but this game will come alive at some point, I feel like. With that being said, I think the form of Man City, their attackers, and the creativity and the ball movement they're currently playing with, I've got them winning this game just 2-1 for me. It's going to be a real tight game, real battle of two great minds, but in the end, Pep Guardiola and City go over the line for me. With that being said, ladies and gents, that brings this prediction video to an end for the Premier League for match week 5. Bit of a longer one, but had to go into depth of all these games. There's so many close games to come from the weekend. Let me know your favourite game in the comment section down below, and let me know in the comment section, what do you think of my predictions? I went well in the Champions League midweek. I struggled last week in the Premier League. How do you think I've gone here, these games here? Also, let me know some of your predictions in the comment section down below. I would love to give them a read. If you're new around here, guys, please make sure to smash a like on it, subscribe to the Players Own channel, as we're on the road to 2K now. We've got the 1K mark and pushing on to 2K now. And also press that post notification bell so you know we upload more videos here on the channel. With that being said, I hope you have a great rest of your day, guys. Enjoy the weekend's football action, and I'll see you guys on the video or podcast very, very soon. Till next time, guys. See you later.